Right, thank you. We've been hearing lots about Congressman Todd Akin's controversial comments, but one thing we haven't heard very much from is the victims. According to the American College of Obstetrics and Gynecology, 5% of women become pregnant after they're raped. One of those women has come forward. She wrote a powerful letter that's now gone viral, and part of it says this. Representative Todd Akin's recent comments that legitimate rape rarely results in pregnancy not only flouts scientific fact, but for me, cuts deeper. Akin has delegitimized my rape. Shauna Pruitt is her name. She's now an attorney. She was 21 years old when she was raped. She became pregnant. Her daughter is now 7 years old. She's in Chicago this morning, where she joins us from. Shauna, thanks for talking with us. We certainly appreciate it. Your letter is remarkable, and I would encourage everyone who hasn't read it to go online and find it and take a look at it. Your story is heartbreaking. Tell me about what happened. You're a college student, 21 years old. What happened?
Right, I was raped, faced absolutely what was the worst experience of my life. Found out about a month after that rape that I was pregnant from the rape. And as I described in my letter, I was feeling a lot of conflicting emotions, shock, scared, but I was also having this very strange emotion where I was feeling some kind of kinship or bond towards this life growing inside of me. And then I correspondingly felt shame for feeling that. So it was just a lot of conflicting emotions. But I ultimately made the decision to have my daughter. And I thought that once I made that decision, that was kind of the end of the story for me.
In a lot of ways, it was the beginning of the story.
Forward.
Right. I mean, it really was the start of your story, because I think you become a face of what people did not expect, right? Number one, you kept the baby, and I think that would surprise people. And you talked about that kinship. The next thing was that I think was a surprise was that your rapist would try to get custody of the child. I think that's shocking, frankly.
That's right. He filed for sole custody of her, and I'm very lucky that his parental rights were terminated. So he's no longer or was never a part of our lives. But I fight today, and my advocacy work for the past 2 years has been focused on helping other women who haven't been so lucky or aren't so lucky.
You write that there are 31 states. You say, it would not be long before I would learn firsthand that in the vast majority of states, 31, men who father through rape are able to assert the same custody and visitation rights to their children that other fathers enjoy. I think that's stunning for a lot of people. Why do those laws exist? Why is it not so clear-cut? If you're a rapist, one would say, I think, practically speaking, a termination of parental rights, would seem obvious.
Yeah, and that was the question that I had when I wrote a paper in 2010 for the Georgetown Law Journal. That was the exact question I wanted to answer. Why are these laws not more prevalent? And the conclusion that I came to through my paper was this notion that words have power, and that the way in which we speak about the raped woman, the way in which we speak about women who become pregnant through rape, I think has made us suspicious of anyone like me or the 30% of other women who each year choose to keep and raise the children that they can see through rape. We're suspicious of them because they've behaved in a way that our dialogue suggests that they shouldn't. And so I think that we're hesitant to pass these laws because, frankly, we don't think that women like me exist.
Because you mean acting in a way, meaning you decide to keep the child. I want to bring in Will Kane for a minute. Part of the words that I thought Shauna was going to talk about was really forcible rape, which has become an issue in the legislation, certainly, and clearly is an issue behind these 31 states, right? It's that nuance between, if you will, people who believe that there are certain types of rape, and that's what connects to the legislation.
Well, Shauna's story is certainly remarkable and amazing. And when we read it, all of us go, how is this possible? As you said, so how is it possible that rapists retain parental rights? That strikes us against all common sense. As I kind of go into it deeper, and I would love Shauna's perspective on this because she's well researched on this, but, this dives us back into this debate over forcible versus statutory rape, because laws are blunt force instruments, and you can quickly envision a scenario where a 19-year-old and a 16-year-old have consensual sex, which is statutory rape, and say that mother wants to give the child up for adoption. Does that father have any parental right to say, hey, I'd like to have that child?
Shauna, this is something that's obviously become an issue for you in your advocacy. Is this the kind of thing that you're coming up against, that sort of complicated conversation about where some rights end and where some rights begin, when it seems on its face so obvious why rapists should not have access to the child born of rape, to me at least?
Right. Well, the basis of our Constitution is the Constitution affords people a constitutional right to parent their children. Now, the courts can interfere with that right where the legislator within their state has given them the authority to do so. In a lot of these states, there's the authority to do so in cases of abuse of the child, neglect of the child, maybe abandonment of the child. But we don't have this specific rape conception notion. And so without that kind of legislative authority, I think that the courts are finding themselves in this difficult position of saying, you know, I want to act, but I don't really feel that I have the authority or the power to act.
It's obviously a very complicated case. Your story is amazing. People can find it. It was originally posted on xojane.com. We have reposted it on the opinion section at cnn.com as well for anybody who'd like to read it. I thank you, Shauna, for joining us. We appreciate your time this morning.